in Nigeria, for us, doing an initial baseline setting analysis made a lot of sense, just because we're a large economy. There's so many moving parts, and especially post COVID, it was really important to take stock. So I would say for a lot of countries, having that initial assessment done, particularly post COVID, is really useful because you're not then under pressure to do both the assessment and the development of the financing strategy as one step, and you can kind of take a step back, really look at that, and then do a further deep dive with stakeholders. So our development and financing assessment brought up some key thematic areas: the issue of financing, where do we get revenues from, how do we leverage existing structures, how do we unlock revenue potential in the economy that has not been fully tapped, issues around strengthening the link between our planning and our financing processes, public-private coordination, untapping the great potential of the private sector to finance and drive implementation in key sectors, and then transparency and accountability. So having those themes sort of begin to inform the financing strategy conversations, we found that it was really an iterative process, right? So, you can imagine when you're having a series of conversations with stakeholders, instead of coming to them at one time for everything, you're able to unlock different layers of information than you would if you kind of rushed it all and condensed the timeline. Another thing that we did as part of our financing strategy was a real deep dive with our state governments. So we organized a workshop, and at that workshop we had represented commissioners of finance, as well as commissioners of budget and planning, and also representatives from state level offices of the SDGs. Everyone was there. And again, somebody commented during that workshop that this was the first time that they had actually interacted with all of the commissioners, all of the SDG teams. And it was actually one of the few times that they had all interacted with each other. So what we did was we had a series of, of course, presentations to help build an awareness and a sense of capacity and understanding around the INFF. But the majority of the time was spent in breakout sessions, and I and other members of the core working group facilitated those sessions. And those conversations were really rich. You had everything from knowledge sharing, best practices sharing. The state stakeholders felt it was an opportunity to even express to us at the federal level, some of the challenges they'd had with coordination and engagement even with us. And really, the idea was to begin to have a real understanding from the perspectives of those actually doing the work at the state level of what are the challenges that they're facing. And they're going to be really the ones to implement this at the state level. So it's sort of a two-way process where we're gaining an understanding which would inform the financing strategy, but then also building a sense of community and ownership and capacity for those who are actually going to implement this. Because the truth is, it's going to be implemented at the state level, and it has to be if it will succeed.